Hello viewers, welcome to our program. Today we have with us Mr. Pascal Nadal, lecturer at the MIE and part-time lecturer at the University of Mauritius, and also specialized in American realism. The topic of today's meet is multiculturalism. Has America been setting up an example for other multicultural societies? The issue of multiculturalism is one of the main ideological debates of the 21st century. This issue is constructed around concerns such as identity, freedom, and ethnicity. That is a recognition of racial and ethnic diversity, aiming at equal opportunities. Therefore, multiculturalism offers an equal voice, as reflected in the words of the American Civil Rights Act of 1967. No discrimination or segregation on the ground of race, color, religion, or national origin. This multicultural and multi-ethnic ideology is what we have witnessed during the 2008 presidential elections, with the success of Barak Obama. Today we are going to talk about this victory of American multiculturalism. At the same time, we will discuss about our multicultural Mauritius. So, Mr. Nadal, welcome to our program. As a lecturer of American culture and literature, how do you perceive this victory of Barack Obama?
Well, I believe it's a victory that serves a number of commendable purposes. When you acknowledge the multicultural, the diverse profile of your population, it seems to me that it's important for this ethnic and racial diversity to be reflected and mirrored at different stages of your society. It wouldn't make sense, for example, if this diversity is reflected, let's say, in the carceral population of a country, and you don't see it mirrored elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So I think that it really served a commendable purpose. Like it was important for this diversity to be reflected at different levels. Including at the topmost level, at the mm-hmm. level of the American presidency.
Of course.
So previously we had Secretary of States who came from minority groups, mm-hmm. but now I believe that Obama making it to the presidency of this country is really an acknowledgement of the feasibility of,
yes.
of multicultural success.
And can you just give us a brief overview of multicultural America?
Well, the United States as a country is often referred to as the melting pot par excellence. Mm-hmm. So to go back to relate what you just said to your previous question, trying to relate Obama's victory to the multicultural profile of the American society. So I believe it's a very interesting representation of this diverse cosmopolitan mm-hmm. profile of the American society. It's even more representative in the sense that Obama comes from an ethnic group that is not even the number 2 ethnic group yes. of a country. You have the mainstream white population, mm-hmm. and we have Hispanics and blacks actually constitute the 3rd ethnic group. So I believe that it's an interesting situation. Maybe we'll have time to talk about this later on, but it seems to me that very often when we talk of American multiculturalism, we tend to polarize in terms of whiteness and blackness. Mm-hmm. Whereas when we talk of American multiculturalism, it actually encompasses, englobes a number of other elements. We have, when we talk of...
and I guess we tend to neglect the notion of the multi-ethnic reality in America, in fact.
Definitely. Uh-huh. When we talk of American multiculturalism, it really encompasses many more factors than simply whites and blacks, whites, Hispanics, blacks,
Yes.
Asians, Amerindians. So it really englobes a number of perspectives, and I think that it would be fundamentally unfair to summing up to this issue of whiteness
Yeah,
and
of
blackness.
course. And I was also thinking that maybe this Obama phenomenon is definitely kind of changing the image of American racism, for instance.
Well, definitely it's sending a positive message. But then what we need to be reminded of is that Obama as one individual, I mean, can we relate this? Can we make this one example become a norm? Can we say that because Obama became president of the United States, racism disappeared completely?
Of course.
So again, I think we should be quite cautious when we, definitely it sends a remarkable message to the rest of the world that it's possible, yes, they can, yes, they've been able to do it, but someone from a minority ethnic group making it to the White House.
Yeah.
But then, from this example, can we draw conclusions and say that they've been able to solve the racial problem? I don't think so. I don't think
Yes.
so.
But it's also a kind of hope when you think about Martin Luther King, about his dream and so on. So Obama is presented as a hope for American multiculturalism.
Yes, he's been able to allow people to dream. And not only allow people to dream, but allow people to see the materialization of a dream
Yes.
that has been cherished for a very long time. So in this respect, yes, I think he's a powerful agent of hope. And as he said the night that he won the election, his speech in Chicago,
Yes.
that his victory became the proof that out of many, they are really one.
Yes.
To the coat of arms of the United States, e pluribus unum,
Yes.
out of many one. So we come from diverse frontiers, but then out of this diversity, with one American individual has been able to emerge. So in many respects, yes, I think you're right in using the word hope.
Yes, it's a hope.
But then I would like to reiterate this point that not all the issues, not all the problems related to the racial aspect have been solved
Of course.
in such a way.
Now, can you please draw the link between America and Mauritius in terms of multiculturalism?
Well, we can indeed make a parallel. We can indeed make many parallels as such. Firstly, there is the fact that there is the cosmopolitan profile
Yes.
of both populations. The only difference would be that we don't have native inhabitants in Mauritius.
Yes,
We all came on this empty plot of land. Whereas in America, they had this native Amerindian population. And I think it's a pity also that this fact is not that much acknowledged. It's like when you talk of multiculturalism, racial issue, the Amerindian question always comes last, as if it's like insignificant. It's like we would talk of Hispanics, blacks, and Asians, and very rarely shed light on the...
Again, it comes to the notion of stereotyping. That is why you also mentioned about always referring to black and white is the same, I think.
Yeah, but I think this polarization on whites and blacks, it can be explained. It's not a haphazard situation if we've reached this conclusion where we tend to resume the whole debate to an issue of whiteness and blackness. I will simply cite one law case, the law case of Plessy versus Ferguson.
Yes.
At the time when there was still racial segregation in the United States, you have this black man, Plessy,
Yes.
who wanted to travel in a coach reserved for whites and who was arrested and tried for that. And because at that time, and he claimed that he had some proportions of white blood in him due to his ancestry. So this gave him a right to travel in this white coach. And the Supreme Court stated what became a famous statement, like, one drop of black blood stamps you black. So it's a question of whiteness and non-whiteness. So either you're white or you're not white. So I think that we should look much further ahead to explain this polarization on whites and blacks. It's a heritage. It's something that has been inherited. Again, to go back to this law case, it was like, it's either a question of being white or being non-white. So I don't think that people should be blamed for often making this polarization on whiteness and non-whiteness. It can be explained in many respects.
Now you have been talking about e pluribus unum and also about the notion of the melting pot, but how valid is this?
I think that's a very interesting question. It's an interesting question because it allows us to reflect also on what the situation is in our country. But there is one respect in which I think America has been teaching a good example. It's in the sense that they've been reflecting very candidly, very frankly and sincerely on the situation concerning multiculturalism.
Yes.
And they've been able to acknowledge the fact that they're not really a melting pot. It's like they said, wait a minute, it's a pot, yes. We all came in from diverse shores, diverse frontiers, but then did we melt? Or did we keep our specific identities? So I think for the very fact that they've been able to acknowledge this truth and say that we're not really melting, but we're mostly a salad bowl.
Yes.
It's beautiful to look at, very colorful, people of different colors and so on. But then, contrarily to the melting pot for the salad bowl, the tastes don't get mixed up. Yeah. Each ingredient keeps its taste, and which means that each component of this population keeps its specificities. So I think that your question was like, is it a valid concept?
Exactly.
So my answer would...
for instance, you compare to even the Mauritian notion of Rainbow Island, for instance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we would be able here to relate these two issues. Is over there, I think it was a Senator Brown, who coined this term, the salad bowl, saying that it's more representative of our population, colorful, beautiful to look at, but each one keeps his specificity. And when we relate it to our country, again, I would be tempted to say that the notion of a rainbow nation, it depends on how you take it. Is it simply like beautiful to look at because you have different colors together? Or would you instead shed light on the fact that the different colors just touch but don't get mixed?
That's
so
true.
Again, like in the way that you use the rainbow nation as a cliche, I believe there are two realities.
Yeah, definitely.
It depends on whether you stay at superficial level and you look at it and you're very proud that you have people of different colors, or do you say, like as they did, wait a minute, is it normal that the colors simply touch but don't mix? So I think there are lessons to be drawn from the very sincere way in which they've been viewing the racial question.
To make multiculturalism successful, you need to acknowledge diversity.
Definitely. The diverse profile, the acknowledgement of diverse profile. And when we say diverse, I don't think that we should be ashamed to use the word different. You have people who are different, who belong to the same human race, yes, but ethnically, racially, culturally, there are differences that are reflected. So I think that we should get rid of the hypocrisy around this whole notion and acknowledge the fact that we are diverse, we are different. That's the first step for successful multiculturalism.
I've been saying that to make multiculturalism work, you have to accept diversity. But if we compare America, Mauritius, and the other multicultural countries, do you think that multiculturalism does work?
there are a number of, now again, it would depend on how you define multiculturalism. If for you, it's simply the fact that you have people who are different living together, and that's it.
Yes.
So surely you would be saying that multiculturalism is working. But if your definition of multiculturalism goes much beyond that superficial cohabitation, if it really implies real melting, real blending, real métissage, then I believe that it's not that easy to work like this to create that one identity out of this cosmopolitan profile. So again, my answer to your question, I'm sorry if it's not answering it directly, but the issue is it depends on what type of multiculturalism do you aim at. If it's you're just aiming at the peaceful cohabitation of people who come from different backgrounds, then I think that it seems to be working in a number of places.
And I think even Mauritius is a good example for that multicultural cohabitation.
Definitely.
Can you elaborate on that?
And it's not only our island is not only a good example. I believe that the Mauritian example could actually teach a number of lessons to other countries. We've started this meeting with a reference to America, a number of references to America. One good thing, for example, we don't have here is you don't have this sort of compartmentalization of geographical landscapes on the basis of race. I mean, you may have it, but it's like it's not officialized as such, right?
Yeah.
It's like I referred to Chicago, for example. It's like when you move in Chicago, you move to Greek town. Then when you get out of Greek town, you go to Little Italy, Little Lithuania, and so on. And I think that it's
in
an
Mauritius,
interesting,
we don't
exactly.
have that problem,
It's a very good thing that we can have localities where the neighbors come from so many different religious, cultural profiles. Now
and
again,
even during festivals, we tend to celebrate it together.
Definitely.
I mean, in Mauritius, this is a trend.
Definitely, it's like most religious festivals becoming national festivals.
Exactly.
Some people are for, some people are against, but it's a fact. Whereas in other countries, in the US again, it would tend to be pretty much, there are national celebrations where everyone join in, but I like this example of ethnic compartmentalization of landscapes.
Yes.
Something that we I don't know whether we should be thankful, but I think yes, we should be thankful for not having reached that stage where you move into a region where it's officially acknowledged as being Greek town, Little Italy, or whatever. Because I think that it's a candid reflection on the profile of your society, but at the same time, I'm not sure whether it always sends the right message. Because what happens if you're not part of that ethnic group? So does it mean that you need to be living specifically in that locality, going to that type of restaurant and so on? Because this is what you have. In Greek town, you have mostly Greek restaurants. So you have to move to another locality in order to...
I mean, that's the notion of multiculturalism. You live together, but you respect the different cultures.
Yes, the issue of respecting the other is of paramount importance.
Yeah, of course.
And at the same time, you need to acknowledge the fact that when people who are different come together, some problems arise because it's almost impossible, especially on the part of a government, to do something for one minority group, for example, without this initiative being viewed negatively by another one. Just to take one example, the issue of affirmative action.
Yeah, positive
discrimination in terms of admission to prestigious universities that form part of a famous Ivy League. This policy aims at enabling students coming from minority groups with even, I would say, inferior results, but results that are not that good, to get access to some specific fields of studies in these prestigious universities. This is meant to be a sort of corrective measure for the discrimination that their ancestors suffered. So by the minority groups, it's viewed positively. But then for the dominant white mainstream culture, that's discrimination. That's discrimination because they are being admitted there
so it
on
depends
the simple,
on the perception.
exactly, on the perspective from which you view it. It's like someone saying like, I'm sorry, I'm being discriminated against because I do have the results. My results are better than many other candidates, but I'm not being admitted there simply because I mean, for once, I'm not having the right ethnic profile. So to get back to your question, so yes, respect is important, but these clashes...
But I think what I've understood from what you're saying is that most of the time in Mauritius or in America, I mean, for instance, giving importance, promoting one culture is most time at the expense of other cultures.
Yeah, that's to relate to what I said previously. So so that also we witness it very often here itself. Again, I believe, now if you ask me like, is it normal? Now, these things should not happen. But then I think it's a sort of human reaction, is like when people view, but then maybe we should stop thinking in terms of ethnic lines or racial lines. Maybe we should adopt policies that are geared towards specific socioeconomic groups. Then, irrespective of your racial or your ethnic profile, if you fall into the specific socioeconomic stratum that is being targeted, then you benefit from the policy. So maybe that would be one move that could be contemplated, like moving a little bit away from like racial and ethnic considerations and move to some more pragmatic and some more reliable standards in terms of socioeconomic capacities.
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Nadal. This meet has provided insight into issues of multiculturalism. We should start thinking about the real meaning of multiculturalism, not just following any model, but realizing and admitting a number of truths on what works and what does not in a multicultural setting. So viewers, we have now come to the end of our program. Until next time, it's goodbye from us.